Okay, the first thing on the list for 100-hour service is this front axle pivot. What we're doing there is we got to make sure there's no slop in the front axle pivot. So I'm going to show you really quick how you do that. It's really not too bad. Of course, make sure you read your instructions. They obviously are more important than what I say. So don't listen to me, listen to the instructions. So we've got our jack here. By the way, if you need a nice floor jack, this one came from Costco. It's pretty good. I've liked it so far. We're just gonna, this is the front axle, of course, of the ZD. We're gonna put our jack under there and we're gonna lift it up. Yeah. And now you can see the axle moving. And the axle has a little bit of slop front to back. So what you do is you basically disconnect this pin and tighten that nut slightly. Do not over tighten it. Alright, we got it done. So I used a 27mm socket on a ratchet. Take this Carter key out, or this pin out, rotate it. It's a castle nut, so you can only get such a finite adjustment there. You gotta go from stage to stage, but we got it nice and tight now, and then we'll do some greasing after a while. So that's the first step. Alright, next step is the mower gearbox oil. Very important that you check this, because that gearbox that's on the mowing deck, it gets a lot of stress on it, especially when you're mowing high grass. So as you can see, it has a dipstick on a few of the mowers, excuse me, and then some of the other mowers it has a drain plug and a sight plug, kind of like that. So anyway, let's get to it. So we're gonna go over here. I've got it ready. There's the deck. Of course, there's the seat. There's the gearbox. There's your dipstick. You just unscrew that. Make sure that you wipe this off once before you check it, if the vehicle's moved. And you can see if you can see that. It is good. So we're good on the oil. That's all there is to it. Notice how it's very easy to get to on the mower. Everything's fairly easy to service. So I'll get this threaded back in there, and we'll go to the next item. Alright, the next item on the list is greasing. Everybody's favorite. This vehicle, or mower, has a ton of zerks everywhere. And I'm not going to show them all to you. For instance, there's one. There's one. Some on the wheels. They're all over the place. I will note, I'm not going to show them all to you. And obviously, just put a grease gun on there and shoot them. There is one up under here. It's a drive shaft that runs from the engine to the transmission. And it is fairly hard to get to. So I recommend having a flexible hose on your grease gun to reach up in there and get that. Very important that you do it. Don't skip it, even though it's hard to get to. The grease keeps the thing from wearing out and costing you money. So we'll get started. Lots of grease fittings. Okay, I got everything greased. Give yourself plenty of time when you're doing that, because there's a lot of grease fittings, and some of them are a little bit hard to get to. The worst one is the 3 fittings on the engine to transmission drive shaft. So just take your time and you'll eventually get there. Our next step is to work on the air filter. So let's pop that apart. This is a 100-hour service, and the air filter is supposed to be replaced. You can see that. It looks pretty dirty. So I've got a new one over here. Let's put it on. I've removed the main air filter. See, there's a pre-air filter underneath there. Unfortunately, the dealer didn't have that filter. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the primary filter, and I'm going to leave the secondary filter, and then I'll replace it later when the parts come in. You can see there's the old filter and the new filter, so it definitely gets pretty dirty. This is 100 hours of mowing. So I'm gonna put that in. Our cover, it's got a little bit of dust in there, so we're just gonna wipe that out with a rag. and then reassemble it. Now, you notice it says to do the engine oil and engine oil filter at 200 hours. So I did it at 50. I'm going to do it another time at 100, and then I'll start that 200-hour interval. I just want to make sure if there's any shavings or any debris in the oil, get that on out of there on a new engine. All right, here we go. We have our oil pan, and we have a socket wrench here. It's a 14mm 3/8. You don't want to put a lot of torque on those drain plugs when you put them back in. And I'm gonna unscrew the plug, and you want to hang on to the plug and the seal as the plug comes out of the threads. There we go. Good old black diesel oil. So there's the plug. So we're gonna let that drain, and we'll start on our oil filter. All right, it's time to put this new oil filter on. I always try to use Kubota parts. I think they're made well. Certainly the rest of the Kubota components are made well, so I just stick with the OEM part. There you go. So there's our old filter up here. I'm going to use this filter wrench. This is actually an imported filter wrench, but it's made pretty well, and you can change out the bands. So I like it. It's worked out well for me. So we're going to put that on there. I don't know how many of you have used filter wrenches before, but you have to have the filter wrench to unscrew the filter. It's a little tough to get moving. Of course, you tighten it with your hand, but that's all there is to it. So we're just going to screw that out. Our drain pan is below the filter as well, so as you can see, or maybe see, it's draining into it. That looks pretty good. So we've captured that, and I'll pour this filter into the pan. All right, I'll let that drain, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, here we go. I have some mobile Delvac. That's what I've been using in my Kubota stuff. I'd say any name brand oil is fine. This isn't synthetic or anything fancy, but what's important is you change it. Now this thing holds 4.1 quarts. So we're just gonna keep filling this up. I should have about 4 quarts approximately in this jug here, so I'll spare you the boredom, but 4.1 quarts in the ZD326. We just pour it in, check it with the dipstick, and then put the cap on the oil inlet, and we're done. Next thing will be taking the blades off and sharpening them. So stay tuned for that. So as you probably noticed, I didn't put the oil filter back on. That's because I lost the video that I had recorded. Also, I've lost the video showing how to remove the blades and how to reinstall those. I apologize for that. We'll try to re-record that at some point when I do it again. But I thought I would include the blade sharpening because I did save that video. So anyway, mistakes happen, and I'll do better next time. Thanks for watching. Okay, I have the blade put in the vise. It's nice to be down in the cool basement. So you could use a file, you know, just a nice flat file to sharpen this, where you just run the file over there. I don't have one at the moment, but this is example. So you could file that like so, and then that would certainly make it nice and sharp, make the blade nice and sharp. But what I'm going to use is this handheld disc grinder. or sander. This is an old one. It's made by Makita. And I've got a fairly abrasive sanding pad on there, but it does a real nice job. It's very easy to control. And all right, here we go. Man, that does a beautiful job. Now, you don't want it super sharp. You could get it like a knife blade, but the problem with that is it'll chip if it hits any stones or pebbles or whatever. So that's pretty good right there. So I'm just going to do the other side just like this, and then we're going to put it back on. One thing you want to be careful of when you're sharpening blades is that they're balanced. So this is kind of a generic way of doing it. You can put it on a spindle and see if the thing will balance in position. This isn't probably the ideal way. The ideal way is to use a balancer that's a cone shape and it sits horizontal, holding the blade like this, and then it sits there and it balances it. So I've removed such little material from these blades because they're fairly new that really there's no issues with balance, but I wanted to explain that to you. Well, there's all the stuff that came off the bottom of the mower. Real mess. I'm glad I took the effort to clean it off. So there she is, all shined up, serviced. Some people have asked why I don't have those pulley covers on there. It's so the grass doesn't collect up under them. Where I'm up on the machine, I have no danger of getting my fingers in there or anything, so it's pretty safe. It's running like a top. Got some grass over there on the driveway I need to clean up. So thanks for watching another Project King video. We'll keep making videos, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this helps you a little bit on servicing your ZD326 or ZD331. I think they're very similar. Excellent mower, by the way. Around 108 hours, not had any issues with it. So just mows like a champ. I'll be going back to work tomorrow. Thank you. See you next time.